Right, hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of, well, questionable images I have on my screen. um, um, yeah, welcome back, and today we are going to be reviewing and talking about the Romanian Revolution. And I'm, of course, joined by Bede of Britannia, formerly known as Hitman. Um, how are you today, Bede?
Oh, I'm fine. What a wonderful activity we're partaking on this lovely Sunday evening.
Yeah, I mean, nothing gets the blood flowing like watching live executions and torturing on state television over Christmas. Because this is actually, do you know what? I'm accidentally, like the Marks and Spencer shopper that was starting to get like mince pies at as soon as it hits autumn. Like
Mhm.
our version of this is watching like the Romanian Revolution because of course it's a Christmas affair. It's all very Christmassy, you see. I shouldn't be. I should have waited until closer to Christmas. The wholesome Christmas revolution. Um, I will add a disclaimer though, as I put that there will be stuff in here which, if you're squeamish about, acts of violence and you a bit of torture, then here's your warning. But apart from that, if you're not a pussy, we'll get going.
No, I'm ready to go.
Great stuff. So just to add a bit of context here, the this is a German documentary. It's been translated into English, came out in '92, but this is like raw footage, and it's quite interesting, the footage. Um, and as people know, that Romania was one of the last of the satellite Eastern Bloc states to um, you know collapse, for the communist regimes to collapse. This one was, I think, the most bloodiest. A lot of them were kind of velvety star revolutions, quote unquote revolutions, where the communist regime, the Soviets withdrew the supports and aids from the satellites, and it just collapsed. This one though was quite violent, and its origin starts with a small Hungarian community, this Hungarian city within Romania called Timișoara, which will be mentioned quite a bit. And there was a I think it was like some sort of Lutheran Reformed minister called Laszlo, who's still present in Romanian politics today. He's still going as a parliamentarian. I think he's in the EU Parliament now. Um, and it's around his arrest, and he's viewed as this dissident. And we'll see what happens. But this sort of sparks the this Christmas revolution in 1989.
Incredibly postmodern.
Yes, I'm afraid there's no Eno or any synth waves.
In mid-December 1989, demonstrations had broken out in Timișoara. Protests were aimed at first at government plans to banish Pastor Laszlo Tukish from the city, then at Ceausescu. On December 17th, members of the Securitate, militia, and army opened fire on demonstrators. The victims were taken away. Their whereabouts remained unknown. 2 days later,
Sorry, just a quick pause. The um, I guess the KGB equivalent in Romania was called the Securitate, which was basically like the Department of Security, and they were quite a massive institution within like the policing of the state. They even had like I guess like a private army esque, 20,000 as well. So they were quite a force to be reckoned with. They were quite a large force within the state that were, as we will see, were extremely loyal to Ceausescu and the communist regime, and what happened to a lot of their members. Well, we will see.
And just to add to that, I don't know if you remember AI, but years ago, AA had that dictator top trumps with Brushisher and Sargon, and they covered Ceausescu as one of the dictators. And I remember they were talking, and I think it was something like 800,000 Romanians were informers for the Securitate, which just shows you how extensive control they had over the country.
Yes, yeah. One thing that we're sort of students of history, and we look about like the state of paranoia and revolutions. I mean, of course, the most famous one is the French Revolution, and how the Reign of Terror was also a mix of paranoia of counter-revolutionaries. One thing I find in this documentary and in other and even accounts, because I've spent like the whole week reading even like British journalist accounts on the ground, is how paranoid the Romanians, the revolutionaries and Romanians in Romania were even after they'd won. There was this absolute level of fear, and it was like, no, we've got to just arrest anybody connected to the security state of, they got to be arrested. I mean, one thing that went round was that there was like a secret Soviet plot. There were like Soviet paratroopers who were being bussed in, that were sabotaging commando, like Spetsnaz, sabotaging the water treatment plants, electricity, and all that. From what I can see, there's never been actually any evidence to confirm that, and I think it might have just been. I mean, there were Securitate people who were trying to rescue Ceausescu, rescue their director who was captured in Bucharest when the military turned. So there were elements of that, but there wasn't like. They were arresting people for that saying there's Russian spies lurking, in every street corner, and no evidence to support that claim. Or not that I could see, anyway.
Tens of thousands of people took to the streets as if they had nothing to lose. In reports which circulated, the number of those who had died continued to rise. General expectancy, the certainty of evil, created a pattern of perception in which the corpses of a pauper cemetery could be confused with those of the rebellion. At the time and place inscribed in the image, from the window of a student dormitory in Temeshvar, an amateur video camera records demonstrators moving towards the center of the city. The camera is in danger. It has remained upstairs to continue filming. Crowd chants reverberate, at times clearly discernible.
The footage, maybe I don't think it's very clear, but if I just get my mouse, if you could see like round where my mouse is.
Yeah, I saw something move.
Yeah, what you saw there was vehicles, but there is a long line of people marching into the city centre to protest the arrest of Laszlo, this Reformed Lutheran figure who's become like who's like a local legend, the sort of folk hero. And this is, of course, there's this massacre where the Securitate open fire, and the numbers on the death toll, I mean, it is, in my view, it is heavily inflated, because it's it it does seem to be quite considerable. I mean, there's some that say it goes into like the tens of thousands and everything at the time. I mean, that I don't. Again, there's no real evidence to prove that, but a lot of people are killed. Incredible amount are injured. But all after that, this is what is considered to be what turns the army against, and elements, because this is what you'll find is your people within the regime, within the communist committee, the Romanian Politburo against Ceausescu and his inner circle. This is this is like the final straw where he's gone mad. Him and his people have gone mad and need to be removed.
Well, it's interesting because if you go back to your populist illusion analysis that's been made, is that obviously the Soviet Union and all the Eastern Bloc are what you could call a hard managerial regime, so they rely on brute force, whereas the managerial regimes in the West are all soft, like they all rely on their foxes and not lions. And one thing I have to wonder is, you talked about this idea of paranoia. Well, we know how a hard regime can fall. If the security and military don't follow your orders, then you're buggered, basically. For us, I'm not quite sure how that's going to manifest, considering the nature of things.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that is quite interesting about Fox and Lions is I think the Securitate and Ceausescu, he tried to play both. He wanted a lion-like, physical force, secret police, Securitate force, but also have like the the sort of persuasion and propaganda techniques that you see in historically with the KGB, or maybe the Stasi or something like that. They had very close connections with the Securitate. There was a Frederick Forsyth, I think he wrote, I remember him reading one of his novels where he talked about in the novel he actually sort of cited, bear in mind he was part of the spy network, that they had a close connection with the Stasi. The Stasi were excellent at disinformation, counterinformation, and information management. And they're always and as Mitch says in there, that the KGB and the Soviet army absolutely despised each other. And the trouble was, the Securitate here in Romania became, basically started taking over the role of the army in some areas and the police in some areas itself. And a bit similar to what you saw within Hitler's Germany, with the SS, the role of the SS military wing, and the Weimar, the German army.
No, absolutely. This is something I think you see in a lot of ideological regimes. Is you have the vanguards of the ideological party states versus the actual entrenched institutions of the government and an army. It's like an inter-service rivalry, so to speak. You kind of saw the same in Japan, except with Japan it was more the army and the navy rather than necessarily the army and the government, or because ultimately that was a monarchical regime.
Yeah, I mean, well, yes, I mean, in Japan you had you had like the officer corps that that Tojo belonged to, that that was that power network. And yeah, I mean, that's a good, that would be a good one to review as well, actually, the what happened there. But yeah, going back to this, I think what we'll see is every the Securitate, Department of the Security, it wasn't just like spies and sort of like state thugs. You even had, like, I remember there was one of the towns in Romania you had called uh, uh, S- Sibiu, or whatever it's called, and it had a Securitate building which was under siege by the army, and they captured people there. But you also had like car park attendants, like their officers also shared with with the Securitate forces, and they were all lumped in. So you did have like poor people who were just like, you know, rando car park attendants, or like street monitor types who were normally part of the department, but they were they were purged with the rest of them. But on a Machiavellian level, it had to be done. If you were doing a revolution like this, you'd have to get rid of these people because they're the ones that hold the state together.
No, absolutely.
The image in the blue, wintry light is divided. The walls in the foreground and the action in the background pertain to different temporal frames. The image is unequally divided. The major portion is occupied by the foreground, which is not the focus of attention. The event has been shifted to the background. The camera gets as close to the event as the lens allows.
Dragi tovarăși și prieteni, cetățeni ai capitalei României socialiste, doresc în primul rând să vă adresez dumneavoastră, participanților la această mare adunare populară, tuturor locuitorilor muncitului București, un salut călduros, revoluționar, împreună cu cele mai bune urări de succes în toate domeniile de activitate.
To assert his endangered power, Ceausescu addressed a mass rally like so many which he had ordered to be held during the prior 25 years. Television transmits live.
I mean, say what you want, but if you compare it to the modern state today, the British state can't get that many seals out for the hotel protests, for stand up to racism and stuff. They can't get those numbers that Ceausescu could get.
No, they can't.
So yeah. Also, just a side note, what a ridiculous hat. I always thought that hat was ridiculous.
He kind of looks a bit like a homeless person.
Yeah, it's giving off like just basic peasant vibes, and it's I don't know. We do you know what I mean. The way I do like my dictator with a bit of fashion and aura, and he had no aura. He's like short. He's a bit of a manlet. He has a ridiculous hat. I mean, he's not as like senile as Biden. I'll give him that. I mean, he's like there's a +1 there. Not as senile, but yeah, it's just he's a bit cringe as a communist dictators go.
I mean, Joe Biden's a pretty low bar for a world leader, so
yeah. I mean, he does have I think he does look like a bit of a Joe Biden like confused old man face, as we'll see. But he sort of like figures out what goes on. I think if Joe Biden was in this position, I think he'd just like walk off and try and shake someone's hand that's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, that's if you go back, people watching, if you rewind a bit, you can actually the only people clapping were the people in the in the front row. A lot of those people would be drummed out of factories. They'll be working away, and then suddenly their committee representative or what have you will come in and just say, Ceausescu's giving a speech. Everyone grab these banners. Off you go into like the square, march down to the square or something like that. That's so you'd have to be there to clap. North Korea does something like that today. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, something I was going to add is Mitch was mentioning his hat, Slap as a peasant. Well, if I remember, Lenin did the same. He used to wear the old workers' cap, and good old Jezza Corbyn does that as well. I've noticed from time to time.
Yeah, sort of lappers. The bourgeois upbringing destroys the street cred a bit. So you have to get some shitty peasant hat to. Sorry, no, continue.
Doresc de asemenea să adresez mulțumiri inițiatorilor și organizatorilor acestei mari manifestări populare din București, considerând aceasta ca o
Well, that turned quickly, didn't it?
Yeah. So what happened, and this is quite interesting because there's not even clear today exactly what happened, but from what I've looking at various accounts, from what I can ascertain, is that there people in the crowd, whether they came originally with the workers who were all holding the placards or they were separate, I do not know, started to push and storm one of the chambers, the committee chamber building. The army who were there, now this is where it's a bit confusing. Official accounts is that the army started shooting them. This is what you'll hear at the time. Later on, in a BBC reporter who was there said actually they were joining in with the revolutionaries. Now, I actually did ask a year ago. I had a taxi driver who was Romanian. I know him quite well because I used to get him from the station every now and then. I actually did ask him about that. Now he was always led to believe as well that actually it was elements of the army were encouraging, a bit like January 6th style, encouraging people to storm the building. And actually that this public stunt was orchestrated by the generals and the officers who basically instigated the revolution. Like this was like the internal coup, and this was a way to humiliate him publicly.
Essentially, pull the rug out from under his feet, basically.
Yeah. This was like Operation Go, and what you'll hear is because even though the transmission, as it says, is cut, you can still hear him, and you'll hear. I'll just play the rest of this because you can hear him and what him and his wife Helena start to try and control the crowd, and the supporters. And actually, this is another thing. The propagandist for the state TV, he actually wrote in a review in an article that he was told in these sorts of scenarios that they if there was like a moment where the great leader appears confused or something, something daft like that, they have people in the crowd who are like party officials or party members who are young and virile looking, energetic looking individuals. So you cut to them and they'll be like they're smiling and applauding the dear leader and all that sort of stuff. But because of the sheer panic in the crowd and everything and the chaos that were going on, and as Mitch just says in the chat there, the people who were chanting Timișoara, which was reference to the massacre that was going on where the news is spread around the country, those were the people storming the committee building. And I believe the building was actually connected to the building Ceausescu was in as well. Which is why, and maybe you missed, you saw it, Bede, a chap in a bowler hat came up behind him and sort of whispered something in his ear. Apparently, to lip readers, he actually said, they've stormed the building. We need to go.
Yeah, because the subtitles claims he said that.
Yeah, and now the subtitles also said that as well. I don't know if that yet came up, but yeah. So we'll see what we'll just sort of see what he said. And if you hear like thud 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 sound, that is gunshots. But because of the sound quality, it might sound like a tapping sound, but what you're hearing is gunshots. And I think what it is you have mix of people, army firing in the air, either in support or trying to control the crowd. I'm not sure. it's a bit of a confused situation.
At this point, the television went off the air. Electromagnetic recording continued in the broadcasting van and documented this. Command communication from the ruler to the people had broken down, and, as if there were a disturbance in the line, Ceausescu shouted,
Allo! 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 Allo!
The cameraman had received instructions to pan to the sky if anything unexpected occurred.
Așezați-vă liniștiți! Tovarăș! 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 Așezați-vă liniștiți! Allo!
At this point, the television came back on the air, at first without audio.
Așezați-vă liniștiți! Tovarăș! 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 Adunați pe toți tovarăși! Liniște, n-auziți! Liniște! Alo! Tovarăș! Mergeți lui acolo, da! Așezați-vă liniștiți!
So what you see here is a bit of the crowd. The building in the foreground is where they are storming into, where you have the they're starting to storm into the chamber and the government buildings, and what you can't see very clearly, but those with the banners, you can see that the crowd are starting to dissipate because of the gunfire and the larger crowd who were hostile to Ceausescu. A lot of those supporters, quote unquote supporters, are starting to flee, to like leave the square, like run each way, and that's why you're having Ceausescu and his wife saying keep calm, stay where you going, comrades, stay here, and that sort of stuff. So pretty
Interesting
chaotic.
comment from Mitch. Interesting comment from Mitch about Elena says to people, "Go home and enjoy the Christmas feast." It's almost like let them eat cake.
Yeah, it was like Helena Antoinette. Yeah, there was true, and I was asked Mitch this: could Christmas be celebrated as as a purely Christian festival in Romania at that time? Because I don't think it was even allowed celebrating Christmas in that context.
Well, I think you have to bear in mind that obviously this is quite late into the communist life cycle, so I think they probably
or not
allowed it.
enforced. Yeah, just not
Yeah.
enforced. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is not enforced, not on the books. Yeah. So yeah, we will continue.
La locurile voastre! Asta e o provocare. Alo! Alo! Așezați-vă liniștiți, stați liniștiți! Cetățeni ai capitalei, mergeți înapoi, tovarăși!
He's having a Joe Biden moment.
Yeah, he is. Pretend you didn't see me dive to the ground in fear.
Wait a minute, his wife just took the mic off
The
him.
sound came back on.
Să subliniez că trebuie
sorry to interrupt again, but his wife just took the mic off him and said, "No, let me have a go at it."
Look, I'm going to do a better job of stabilising the situation, thank you. And oh yes, I'm sure his wife upstaging him is really going to fill the people with confidence.
God, what a fucking shit-lib couple they were. I'm glad they were done in, to be honest. I mean, oh God, gross. Like, no, sit down, woman. I mean,
not telling his wife to get back in the kitchen was the cause of the Romanian Revolution.
Yeah.
În apărarea independenței, integrității și suveranității României. Aceasta constituie una din problemele fundamentale.
Let's return to the beginning of the disturbance. What had occurred?
Doresc de asemenea să adresez mulțumiri inițiatorilor și organizatorilor acestei mari manifestări populare din București.
Something rivets his gaze.
Aceasta
Shouts surge up. His speech stops. The camera wobbles. A technical disturbance. The broadcast is interrupted. What had occurred? A film camera from the weekly newsreel was able to record some moments of the interruption. Here the rally is still proceeding in orderly fashion. People massed in front of an entrance to Central Committee headquarters. In the background, there are streams of people going away from the square. In the foreground, toward the balcony. Here, order has been restored temporarily. These recordings, too, give no indication of the nature of the disturbance. Ceausescu proceeded with his speech.
doresc să vă informez pe dumneavoastră de o importantă hotărâre adoptată în această zi de Comitetul Politic Executiv privind nivelul de trai al oamenilor muncii. Am hotărât în această dimineață ca începând de la 1 ianuarie să majorăm în cursul anului viitor retribuția minimă de la 2000 la 2200 lei.
Average Tory party announcement.
Sorry?
Average like Western politician announcement. Yay, minimum wage. It's gone up a bit.
But it just goes to show that it's a sign of weakness, or we need to appease the mass by giving them more pay, and then, you know, as Lenin says, when you find a mush, plunge the bayonet.
Yeah, it's and then given the like level of poverty, as Mitch was sort of referencing there, it's like, what does that even mean? It just it's peanut. It was not even peanuts. It's like below peanuts.
And the thing is, it's when he mentions the Politburo, I'm assuming he means the Soviet Politburo, because it's not even a decision the Romanian government have made. It's something the Soviet Union have made.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think he is referring to his like committee. I don't know about that one actually. That is interesting. I think it was agreed on the committee, like this, by the Politburo, but also by like his Politburo, the actual Romanian committee, the Communist Party committee. I think that's what he's sort of referencing.
I was just because he used the Politburo specifically, so I just thought of the Soviet Politburo.
No, I think he's referring to the Romanian one, Politburo, which is quite funny because some of those people on the bureau were also part of the revolution, as we will see. They sort of, well, when you have a Kalashnikov stuck in your face on national TV, you know, how much of a loyalist are you?
Certainly, perhaps we could say in that case it was a revolution from above rather than below.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was, and it was very much led by the army, which is it's quite funny because that is the French Revolution was very much led by I mean, yes, you had the Third Estate, but it was very much the army, the Jacobins with controlling the army, which is what kept the you know, it gave him that edge in the revolution. It was actually the power, you know, whoever controls the army is automatically got a massive advantage. So yeah.
In his apartment, the cameraman panned his amateur camera to the street to see if the disturbance had any further effects.
Also he references independence a lot. So Ceausescu, he built up an image, particularly in the West, as like this one figure within the Warsaw Pact countries who was willing to, you know, criticize the Soviet Union and criticize other Warsaw Pact countries. And you know, he had honors when he came to Britain. I think he was given like some sort of um I don't.
He was invited on a state visit by James Callaghan in the late 70s.
Yes, that's right. And the Queen gave him some sort of it wasn't like Order of the Garter or anything. I can't remember now.
I think his wife was given like an honorary degree at one of the universities. I might need to double check that, but it was something like that.
Yeah, so he was like considered like the sort of positive face of socialism in the Eastern Bloc, and yeah, was seen as like a friendly one. And yeah, he you know, he would have like back and fro with the Soviets. It's probably one of the reasons why the Soviets never actually you know, we look at it now and we know, well, with Gorbachev and everything, that the Soviet Union was on, it was collapsing. At this point, it was like collapsed. It was like in the it had collapsed at this point. But a lot of Romanians, they saw what was going on in, you know, the Baltic states, where the Soviet army did go in and did actually, you know, forcibly try and prevent independence occurring there. And a lot of them, a lot of Romanians thought that a similar thing would happen, that the Soviets would just roll in the tanks, rescue Ceausescu, and you know. But of course, as we know how the situation would turn out, this never happened.
No, and I just checked. So when they came to Britain in 1978, Ceausescu was made a member of the Order of Bath, and Eleanor was given made an honorary member of the Polytechnic of Central London.
Oh, there we go. Polytech. Well, it's not saying much.
yeah, but like giving him a member of the Order of Bath. I mean, that's a medieval like institution of like knighthood and chivalry. You're despoiling it by giving it to a communist dictator.
Well, Queen Elizabeth II. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enough about that. Yeah, it was the title. When all of this occurred. By the way, the title was removed. I do know that is
yes, your Wikipedia confirms that they were both stripped in 1989.
Well, was that before or after their public execution?
Oh, it just says 1989. So.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, everyone. Spoiler alert for the season finale.
Stimați telespectatori, am transmis direct din Piața Republicii Marea Adunare Populară a Oamenilor Muncii din capitală.
I do like this aesthetic. I do like it.
Yeah, it's all right.
I like the classical music as well. I mean, yeah, I like it. You know, more of this, please. More of this instead of well, yeah. Anyway.
The man who had just panned from his television set to the street took his camera up to the roof terrace of a high-rise building on University Square. The same camera a few blocks further. The camera had returned to the roof terrace on University Square.
The people are waking up, AI.
The people are waking up. It's going to change. We're going to march into the Capitol, and it's all going to. Well, in this case, to be fair, it did change, but. I mean, we know how, you know, we know how we've seen on countless examples within our countries and other countries. When the regime cracks down, they crack down. The fact that this was openly defying the regime, they were singing banned songs by the Communist, party, and chanting "We want free elections" and everything. And the fact that the army were just hanging around there, I think goes to show that behind the scenes, you know, the officers, the people who would join the revolutionary this revolutionary vanguard committee that sort of take over the television television come state radio broadcast center where a lot of fighting will go on. The officers are not giving any orders at this moment in time, but there is one army chief who is who is connected to who's basically like a loyalist. He was considered a loyalist in the Ceausescu regime, and he shoots himself in the head after basically refusing to give an order, and also because of the massacre at Timisoara, he was implicated in that. So, and he saw the mob, and it's a scary thing, the mob. If when you're on the losing side and you're being dragged out, it's maybe taking the bullet is the better option.
Mm. No, certainly.
Yeah, it's a bit dark for me actually, but yeah.
Well, this is a
There
dark
you go.
documentary we're watching, so
It is a dark doc. Yeah, it's getting dark now. Figuratively and yeah. One of the the generals who was on maneuvers here called I think his name will come up. I think it's General Ulai, Yusenko or UNESCO. I'm pronouncing all these Romanian names poorly, but he pretends when the Ceausescu's are trying to contact him and to find out what's going on in the streets here. He doesn't answer the phone, and then he quote unquote breaks his leg and has to be taken to like a medical facility, and then he's sort of like planning what to do next there, and then he comes out on the side of the revolutionaries, of course. So he sort of becomes like de facto ruler, in the new year in 1990. So as the new system is implemented, but yeah.
In the night darkness, the cameraman wanted to assist the images with words.
În imagine, zidul universității cu lumânări aprinse. Uite-te! Ia, uite-te, uite-mă ce faci! Ei au început! Uite, au spart interul. Au spart, nu, dar acum au spart drapă, nu știu cine-i cine.
Informăm că ministrul Forțelor Armate a acționat ca trădător împotriva independenței și suveranității României și, dându-și seama că este descoperit, s-a sinucis.
So in other news, the local Bucharest football team has got a new manager. So, sorry.
And also there have been fiery but mostly peaceful protests.
Yeah. It's a bit of a weird way. The interior minister of the committee is proven to be a traitor and has killed himself. It's like, oh, okay. A bit more, where's Romanian Mariama Spring to come out with the fact-checking board? Actually, actually he wasn't, he wasn't planning anything. He actually was a traitor. I mean, in all seriousness, though, probably, he is, as Mitch said, he saw which way the winds were changing, and from the regime's point of view, by killing himself, opening up the vacuum, opening up the all that problem for the sort of the army would be a treacherous move. When it came to that shooting at the university, the tanks and everything, I'm not entirely sure. I will have to watch a bit more of this. I'm not entirely sure if that was the army or if that was the Securitate forces, because one thing I did find out is that in this, the Securitate have white riot shields on them. Their riot shields are white. So, I'm not entirely sure. I think the tank, you heard that woman saying, "Oh, look, they're using tanks." I think actually they're like the armored personnel carriers. I don't think they're not actually like tanks. They're just armored vehicles that they're using to try and disperse the crowd, firing into the sky to disperse them.
Yeah, if it was actual tanks, I think that's a sign that the Soviets has actually turned up.
Yeah, if actual tanks came rolling down, then you've got a Czechoslovakia Hungary sort of problem going on there. But yeah, and the Soviet tanks were sort of either half wasted in Afghanistan or the other half wasting in the Baltic at this point.
Facem apel către toți cei care își iubesc țara și poporul să acționeze cu cea mai mare fermitate împotriva oricărui trădător. Toate zvonurile și minciunile au fost dirijate în strânsă legătură cu trădătorii de țară și cu cercurile imperialiste de trădătorul Milea, care a organizat aceste provocări, a spus minciuni și a informat fals în legătură cu situația din țară, nespunând nimic despre crimele și distrugerile din Timișoara.
Yeah, actually, a very important point. So the massacre at Timișoara, the regime at this point didn't deny that something had happened, but then just said, "Oh, it was rogue, traitorous generals trying to spark a revolution through, fascist and reactionary causes and Western imperialism and all the sound bites that you can think of." Yeah, so they sort of went down the line of, "Oh no, it was just it was a rogue element." A rogue element outside of the who committed a crime.
I know, certainly.
On this morning, another amateur camera in the center of the city observed the confrontation between demonstrators and security forces.
Just watch it. They'll get the flowers and put them in the gun.
Yeah.
The edges of its images document how the army shoots over the heads of the Securitate troops, who then flee.
So this is quite important. So what you have, and I actually believe this is the moment where the regime, where the army switches sides. Like the Palpatine execute Order 66 moment. This is the Romanian version moment. What you have is, I'll just see if I can rewind it a few seconds.
Edges of its images.
So what you have here is you have the army you have the soldiers and on the APCs here, and they're approaching the crowd. Now in white, the white shields, these are the department. They are the Securitate. This is like the paramilitary wing of the secret police who are out. And what you have is, as the narrator says, they turn round and then they start firing over the heads of the Securitate. And then, they as we'll see, as he says, they start to flee. I think this is the moment that this is, what nearly 11:15 on the 22nd of December 1989 is the moment where army switches teams.
No, it's noteworthy because there's many other revolutions where the army turning is critical. The main one I can think of is the Carnation Revolution in Portugal that led to the downfall of the Estado Novo. It was the army officers of a left-leaning persuasion who ultimately caused that.
Yeah, or with the Bastille, with the storming of the Bastille, it was when the reinforcements arrived, the army quickly joined in with storming, and then the governor of the Bastille, who tried to blow up the powder, was stopped by his own men, and so again the officers they quickly switched sides. He was beheaded, and the king was informed by his men that he said, "Is this a revolt?" And they say, "No, sire, it's a revolution." Similar thing, very similar.
Images document how the army shoots over the heads of the Securitate troops, who then flee. There they flee with their white shields.
I mean, just thinking about it, if you take the French, even like the Arab Spring, like in Egypt, the police, or the security, the police are the enemies. They're always the villain because they enforce the regime's laws, and the armies are like this benevolent group of heroes, and heroes of the revolution. It's always interesting how that's always in different societies it always plays out. The army is always the hero. Well, for the revolutionary side, I mean, they are the heroes of the moment.
Oh no, certainly.
This street leads to the television station. And this street leads to the square in front of Central Committee headquarters.
I do not think the location of the army turning was coincidence. That strategic location of where you have the television station. Bear in mind, this was like the only television station that and radio station, which basically was the only method of communication to the entire population of Romania, and also the government buildings. That's like shows a level of orchestration on the ground for that moment to take place.
And certainly, I find it interesting. There's some characterization that history led them to this. It's like it's inevitable. The march towards progress.
And I mean, on paper, I mean, I can still see even at this point, take Turkey. Now, several years ago, there was a coup in Turkey, or there was an attempted overthrow in Turkey to get rid of Erdogan, and it was elements of the military that were doing this. It looked for a point when they captured areas and started attacking like the state assembly in Ankara and buildings in government buildings in Istanbul, that the coup leaders were going to win, but then it quickly turned around. It could have all changed even at this point. But
I think it's important to remember in that situation that in the history of modern Turkey, there was the Turkish army is very Kemalist, especially amongst its officer corps. They very much want to uphold the Turkish independence and the ideals of Turkey's founder Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. And throughout the modern history of Turkey, whenever like a government has gone too much towards I guess against the ideals of Ataturk, the army would always come in and coup and take over. And there was four coups like this in the course of the 20th century, and the one against Erdogan was this fifth coup since the establishment of Turkey, and that's the only one that failed. And I think it failed because I think it was Erdogan kind of had guys on the inside who were loyal to him, and I think it was a trap, so to speak. Because what does he do after that coup fails? The next year he holds that constitutional referendum where he turns Turkey into a presidential system, and to strengthen his position.
Yeah, I mean the failure in that scenario was that they, the coup people should have, and I think they wanted to, because they send a commando team after him, but they were unable to get to him. Was to kill him. That would have been like the sort of key bit, but yeah, I mean, I still think the Securitate, even at this point, could have, maybe not at this. Actually, maybe I'll retract that. Maybe at this point it was a bit too late. Maybe a couple days earlier, they could have, arrested the key generals and people in the Communist Party who were organizing and coordinating on the ground. But yeah, at this point, I think maybe I'll revise my last statement. I think at this point it was too late.
What are these like Communist Party records, I presume, that they're throwing out?
Yeah, a lot of these were arrest records. Even there were records of people who had been spied on, who were informants, people who had been who had just information. There were records of everyone's information, if they had like anti-revolutionary sort of beliefs, all that sort of stuff was just getting totally torched and destroyed. Yeah, thrown out the balcony, and this is the same balcony that Ceausescu was standing on in the clip that we saw not so long ago when he had his Biden moment.
No, certainly.
These images were recorded by a professional video camera, which was used to document Ceausescu's public appearances. From the same position on the previous day, the camera of the weekly newsreel had documented with snapshots the interruption of the speech. By capturing something of the disturbance, it had been the first to go over to the other side, more out of curiosity than resolve. The camera which just recorded the fraternization between demonstrators and soldiers has now arrived at the square in front of Central Committee headquarters. books spewing down from the balcony. The sound of a helicopter in the air. This camera manages to record the moment when the Ceausescus flee.
Yeah, it all happened very, very quickly. The Ceausescus couldn't get like their children, well, the grown-ups children, or you know, many people on the chopper, and apparently the chopper was actually quite overloaded with people and items they brought with them that it struggled to take off, which we'll see.
A close-up identifies Nicolae and Elena Ceausescu.
For an old man, he's quite far.
Well, you'd be pretty fast in that situation, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
From a more advantageous viewpoint, this camera was able to follow in detail the helicopter's takeoff.
It's like the fall of Saigon or the fall of Afghanistan, isn't it?
Yeah, that desperate sort of helicopter retreat.
Two focal points emerge: the square in front of Central Committee headquarters and the television station. When the demonstrators arrived at the television station, two cameramen had managed to smuggle a camera out of the repair room under a jacket. At the downstairs entrance, the two cameramen noticed a man who identified himself to the guard as a colonel, which he later denied. demanding to speak with the director.
Cereți liniște acolo! La 11, nu, la 11. Și director, n-ai nicio grijă. Stați liniște, suntem români cu toții. Să vărsăm în continuare, să vărsăm, scuzați-mă, să evităm vărsarea. Evităm și vărsare de sânge, să evităm și...
One thing you...
bloodshed.
No bloodshed, then no vandalism. One thing you'll find in the interactions in this segment going forward is, even though, you know, that they are, you know, anti-communist and, you know, revolutionaries that, you know, removed Ceausescu, they it's obviously so ingrained they still refer to each other as comrade, you know, comrade director, comrade colonel, comrade citizen, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Well, I suppose when it's so ingrained in you, it's hard to drop a habit, isn't it?
Yeah. So that, have you seen that clips of that German comedian in the 70s where he's doing like you know, get the like a Simon Says sort of stuff to the crowd, and then he does like he goes Sieg, and then they all go Heil and everything, and bear in mind, like and he's actually like gobsmacked because it's like, yeah, 30 years after, it's only like it's in the 70s, so it's like what, 30 years after the war, and that is still programmed still programmed in.
the permanence of human conditioning.
Yes, it's permanent. I wondered if there was, like, you know, in like German nursing homes or stuff, like they had like the oldies that went, you know, they would just randomly start doing Roman salutes or something.
I'll just start goose-stepping around the care home.
Să vină și corpul tehnic, convocați corpul tehnic care să asigure că aici de Gheorghiu. Așa. O să sun la 428 să ia baterii de la Gheorghiu. Da, aici. Hai, unde sunt aici? Să vină în pace. Unde sunt? Cine este? Corect, claritate, fără timiditare. Vă rog să fiți lângă mine. Da. Dumneavoastră, așa vreau, deci rugămintea mea, ascultați-mă, apelul la liniște. Exact, la liniște și ordine. Rugămintea mea e să ne purtăm. Am venit aici să salvăm această instituție foarte importantă pentru statul nostru. Să salvăm onoarea României. Salvăm onoarea României. Perfect. Vă rugăm în liniște și în ordine, altfel nu facem nimic. Și apelul nostru trebuie să fie în acest sens. Corect. La liniște, la ordine. Așa, avem nevoie. Trebuie să-i stăpâniți. Avem.
So these people, the commentator sort of referred to as being the one that claimed he was a colonel, but then said he wasn't a colonel, but then he said he was in the military. I do think that this, you know, this is just part of the you know, the guys, the revolutionary lot in the military, who are, they're using very military terms like coordinated and calm and disciplined and all that sort of stuff. And you know, like, and again, we're talking elite theory, that the undisciplined mass will just sort of, you know, cause chaos and it will just collapse on itself. And looking at this, the mob, even on its like large scales, are still being sort of like controlled by army units on their side. It's sort of like the army sort of controlling the mob instead of the other way around.
No, the people have to be led AI, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, no, 100%. You know, you can't, you know, otherwise, because the battle, even though Ceausescu is gone, the battle's not over yet.
De armată să restabilească ordinea, domnule, aici, că noi nu putem face nimic. Nu se poate face. Sunt alți comandanți care și armata e alături de noi. Da. Asta o să mergem acolo. Sunt toți adunați în partea aceea, veniți în partea aceea. Decizia ce vreau să vă rog? Timpul este scurt, tovarăși. Să trecem la fapte, la treabă, mai bine zis. Avem nevoie de dumneavoastră să comunicăm cu toată țara, să transmitem ultimile știri, că în țară încă se mai varsă sânge. Sibiu, nu ne mai repetăm, se știe. Deci avem nevoie să puneți televiziunea la dispoziție.
All right, cringe. Army needs to get in there now and just stop this and say, listen, no, we're in charge. We're in charge. This pontificating is not getting us anywhere. Come on. Where's the guy with the machine gun? Just barge in there and just like say, no, we're in charge now. Come on. Stop pissing about.
Just escort them out like Death of Stalin style.
Yeah, Death of Stalin style, or like Napoleon's men, the sort of marching into the chamber. Come on, we're in charge now.
Facem un apel ordonat. Un apel. Uite, asta vreau. Dorim organele militare, pentru că noi nu putem face ordine și e o haosă de bandată și se poate lungi așa foarte mult. Da? Dacă tinerii care sunt în curtea acestei instituții văd militari, s-ar putea să creadă că...
Yes, 100%. I mean, not being funny, seeing this, it wasn't that difficult for Uriesco to the general who sort of like in charge of the coup at this point, who's controlling the army, to do this, because all these sort of dissident figures who sort of turn up here are just sort of wasting time and pontificating and talking a load of bollocks, to be honest.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, like someone had to.
Vă rog să se instaleze de urgență acum. În momentul ăsta provizorul, să comunicăm cu...
This guy gets it. This guy gets it. He's had enough of the debating and stuff. He's like, no, you need to do something now. The other guy on the table said, we need to formulate a formation of the policy. It's like, well, you need to plan the policy of the planning policy. Like, what is this?
Just to draw a comparison to like the Bolsheviks, so the guy with the saying we should get the speakers is like Lenin, and the other guy's like Trotsky. It's like we got to like theory sell the revolution, and it's like, no, action, decisive action.
Yeah. This guy is based. I mean, this guy should have like the military should have put him in charge. You actually getting shit done, shouting at people, getting in their faces. Do you know what this is? And a lot of we see like in the West today, people talk about like revolution in England and stuff. This is revolution. This is like raw politics. This is real politics. It isn't like shitty stage managed kayfabe stuff. This is real. This is real because there is a kinetic, physical, violent element to it. This is real stuff. This is real shit you're watching. Enjoy, everyone.
Yeah, this is more real than any parliamentary debate ever could be.
Yeah.
Să-i liniștim, domnule. Da. Dați, vă rog, o dispoziție. Simbol al libertății. Iertați-mă. Simbol al libertății. Vreau 3 tehnicieni sau de acord.
There you go. There's a symbol of Romanian rebirth, the bullet. Based. That is.
I thought it was a pencil they were holding up, but it's a bullet.
Yeah, it's a round. It's a
Okay.
it's a shell casing. Yeah, based. I'm sure the Natcons and the Tory boy types will be quivering in their boots, but sorry, nerds. This is how it's done.
Puternic să vină cineva cu mine. Sunt acolo, să-i aveți acolo. Vino cu mine acolo. Să vorbească la radio. Păi nu trebuie desfișirat. Eu? Păi... Haideți să mergem. Sunt masele jos, domnule, și să nu distrugă televiziunea, domnule.
I do like this guy just taking charge and giving orders out to everyone.
Natural leadership.
Yeah. Total Chad. Just bullying and giving orders.
Ca să restabilească ordinea, că nu putem face nimic. Este un haos.
Oh, look at that hand action. The art of rhetoric here, everyone.
Am nenorocit. Nu intră nimeni. Uitați aici, tovarăși, ascultați-mă. Sunteți mulți tovarăși care lucrați în televiziune. Sunteți nevinovați. În acest haos se poate întâmpla orice, se poate vărsa sânge din nou. Noi vrem să vă salvăm și viețile dumneavoastră. Eu unul personal.
Fuck the media.
Știți cât sânge s-a vărsat până acum? Dar nu se poate 2-3, nu? Nu, vine încoace. Și mergeți, vă rog, cu camera înainte.
I mean, this guy is like a unit. He is a unit of one. He's an army of one. This guy, he's just like totally controlling the narrative at this point. This is leadership. This is real leadership here. You know, not a single politician in this country. Oh well, maybe a select few, but not a single one could command this number of people in a heightened state of violence and kinetic energy like this. This is real leadership. Incredible things.
I would say the only Western leader I could think of who could possibly do well in managing the situation is probably Trump.
Yeah, I reckon he could. I reckon he probably could do the New York sort of mob boss routine on these sorts of people and like give out orders and stuff. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I couldn't see Starmer or like Macron or Merz or any of them managing this.
Oh no! Like Starmer would be like some quivering little nerd, sort of in the corner, like trying to get his voice up there, and everyone's sort of shouting over him, and he's like, in the corner, like, sort of no one's listening to him. No.
Starmer just says, "We must rally the Securitate to use the full force of the law."
Yeah. Now in that scenario, like, just say like all of this happened, next month in London, in Britain. You will see a lot of Labour people loyal to the regime at the moment would like instantly fold, and they'll be like, "No, I never supported this. I never supported the destruction of this country." And as you'll see here, a lot of people who are. I mean, the reason this guy you see on screen here, he's like the national TV director. He's the one that controls the state media. He is scared shitless from the start of this footage. He is scared shitless because he wants to. He's hanging around this guy because he knows that he is implicated in what's gone on the state level, condemning a lot of these people beforehand. And he's worried that he's going to get what happens in most revolutions when you're on the losing side, the chopping block treatment.
No, absolutely.
What needed to be discussed without the camera's presence? The director states that he wished to discuss technical details with the visitor. And the latter states that the director said not to meddle. The cards are shuffled, and the game is underway.
Yeah, so a lot of shenanigans was going on behind the scenes because at this point it wasn't clear which way the revolution was going to go, and there were a lot of people, even with people in the TV studio. Some of those men were actually trying to stall because they were. In their mind, they couldn't really believe that Ceausescu had fled and that the army was on side. That they thought that this was just, a bunch of protesters have stormed the place. We'll see what happens. But there were a lot of people still hedging their bets at this point, which is quite incredible. Bearing in mind, looking back now, we know that there was no chance. You know, the system had collapsed within. It collapsed, and there was an internal coup. But of course, people didn't really, unless you were in the know, like the guy giving orders here, who I think was in the know. You know, he was one of the guys in the know. You know, this mysterious army officer, this Chad of the revolution, whoever he was. Everyone else had no idea.
The camera bided in the elevator.
Tânăr foarte de treabă. Acum treci pe filtrul 1. Filtrul 2, da. Filtrul 2. Liniște! Deci aici sus!
Well, these ad breaks are annoying.
Well, they're better than anything the army's media could come up with.
Yeah.
Armata română a trecut de partea noastră. Apelăm la toți cetățenii patriei noastre, de orice naționalitate, iubitori acestui pământ, ofițeri.
Yeah, so this is all like liberals, conservative, traditionalists, religious types. They're all sort of like bickering now in the revolution. This, I mean, of course, this always happens in revolutions when you have these coalitions of different people bickering, and I'm like, where's the army guy? I mean, I know he went outside. Bring him back in, because they're fucking around in the studio, guys. The theory sell a lot of fucking around in the studio. Get back in there and just whip them back into place.
I mean, that guy was like, we need to appeal to all nations, all nationalities, all religions. It's like well, what gay crap is this? It's like,
I would be, if I was in there, I would like, you know, I'd be like, Soviet spy, kill him. Yeah, counter-revolutionary, get him. I mean, probably by the sounds of it, he's probably like an American spy. You know, I do wonder how much, you know, Western back, you know, alphabet agencies were involved. You know, if there was any involvement in this, it wouldn't surprise me if there was some. I imagine there was some, or if it was entirely within the Romanian, you know, military and dissidents movement that coordinated this.
Yeah, it's interesting to ponder, isn't it?
Yeah. When you hear like super gay shit like that, you know, I know a CIA asset when I see one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Robespierre was right. Maybe it is good to have, like, you know, to be worried about counter-revolutionaries within your revolution. Yeah. Shocking news: the Jacobins were right, everyone. We need to kill more people.
Oh dear, oh dear. Obviously in Minecraft, of course.
In Minecraft, sorry, I had to get ahead of myself. In Minecraft, you know, they're not people, Bede. They are reactionary scum.
Spoken like a true revolutionary.
Nu știți politică, iubitule! Armatele partea noastră nu înseamnă că și guvernul de partea noastră! Tancurile s-au retras la bază! Nu luați!
Oh, get this fucking libtard out here! It's like, you know,
it's like, well, when you're in a revolution, the army is the government. I'm sorry,
yeah,
it just
yeah. Sorry, dumb fuck. I'm seriously. I'm like, no. Where's the guillotine? So seriously, fuck this guy. Where's the guillotine?
face lucrurile în joacă. Faptul că sunteți aici nu înseamnă...
Apelăm la ei! Apelăm la toți cetățenii!
Dar trebuie să le dai program!
Fury Cell strikes again.
Oh, I bet he's going to appeal to international law or something like that. Get him out of here.
Faci primul anunț și eu pot anunț programul. Urmează proclamația și programul.
Orice moment e foarte important.
Yeah, every moment is vital, and you're fucking around with like Reddit peer discussions.
Intrăm în emisie, 23 de milioane de oameni sunt cu ochii spre pe voi. Nu mai scoate nimeni niciun cuvânt. Faceți primul anunț. Primul anunț îl fac eu. După care Mircea Dinescu. Care lucrează la proclamație. După care se va redacta proclamație. Dar și prin planul Mircea Dinescu.
După aceea
se face pauză.
Sunteți gata?
După primul anunț se face pauză. Corect. Un sfert de oră. Vom da un scurt timp. Anunțul. Liniște. Liniște. Anunțul. După care pauză. Liniște. Mircea. Te prezint și tu spui, arăți că lucrezi.
The person in the jumper in the middle there, who's called Mirakia. Again, sorry for the pronunciations. I believe he was within the committee, and he was like removed by Ceausescu back in several years earlier, and he was quite a popular figure. And he was quite a bit of a dissident figure when he was removed, a bit outspoken. He was outspoken on the regime, so he's kind of seen as like he was a bit of a popular figure within the Romanian class. I don't know what happened to that Laszlo chap in Timișoara. If he played a role like publicly. Mircea, thank you, Mitch. Mircea. I don't know about Laszlo. I don't know if he's the Hungarian, ethnic Hungarian. What sort of role he played? Bear in mind, it sort of all started with him. Why wasn't he brought to the capital? But
Well, maybe because he's a minority. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah. We'll see what Mircea has to say. Well, first of all, Mircea, get that fucking shit lib out of the studio.
La un apel către noastră.
Să înceapă caramelul să-l cunoaște lumea.
Da, corect.
Atențiune, vă rog. Peste 5 secunde intră în emisie. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Fraților, mulțumită lui Dumnezeu, ne aflăm în studiourile televiziunii. Am reușit să ajungem aici, în spatele tancurilor, cu armată și cu studențime și cu oamenii pe care îi vedeți și cu mii și mii de români și de alte naționalități care ne-au condus. În fața dumneavoastră se află eroul nostru, Mircea Dinescu, poetul. Vă rog să-l priviți. El lucrează, vă va spune despre ce este vorba. Suntem emoționați, obosiți și dorim ca tot poporul român, de orice naționalitate, care a luptat cu arma în mână, în sensul că au avut în suflet acea suflare divină a lui Dumnezeu și a răbdării poporului român, care în sfârșit s-a rupt, să putem asculta cuvintele lui Mircea Dinescu, care vor fi purtătoarea genului românesc peste timp. Noi lucrăm, iată-l pe Mircea Dinescu, care să vă spună. Spune ce faci. Peste 10 minute vom da un apel către populație. Vă rog să vă păstrați calmul. Sunt momente în care Dumnezeu și-a întors fața către români. Să ne uităm către Dumnezeu câteva minute înainte de a vă vorbi. Înainte de asta apelăm la toate forțele ale armatei noastre. Armata în București e cu noi. Dictatorul a fugit. Facem un apel către Ministerul Forțelor de Interne să depună armele, să intre în cazarmă. Poporul e cu noi. Peste 5 minute vom face un apel către toată suflarea română, către eroicul popor român.
Victorios.
In reality, though, as we know, the military were already on side. This is just now this is the kayfabe for the masses to sort of believe and the military, switch sides. The people and the poets and the Reddit tier, international lot are on side in the studio.
Interesting for Mitch, apparently Laszlo became an MEP for Hungary in Orban's party. They're based.
Yeah, I looked that up the other day, and he became an MEP and outspoken on Hungarian minority rights and in Romania. And there's actually I didn't realize there's actually such a large Hungarian. I mean, I should have known because, of course, most of the Carpathian region of Romania was part of the old Hungarian kingdom for
Transylvania specifically.
Yeah, Transylvania for about nearly 1,000 years if you go back to the pre-Christian era.
When Hungary was consecrated as a kingdom in 1000 AD, that was part of the lands of St. Istvan, as it was known, or Saint Stephen.
Yeah, all part of that sort of the Pannonian Basin and the Carpathian Mountains from that stretched land. Was within Hungarian control. And also there was a very large German Saxon population in Romania, but that declined after World War II for obvious reasons.
Because I think one of them, actually, the former president of Romania, was actually one of those Saxons.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was part of that minority group, and they again they live quite close to the borders with the Saxon part, what is modern day Ukraine in the north of the country. So yeah. And also there's a small you do have like a few Serb and Bulgarian minorities, of course, that correspond to the borders with Serbia, or what was Yugoslavia, and Bulgaria as well. So you do have that overlap.
Yeah, he's got disputed. I think it's Temesvar in the west had a Serbian minority, and I think it's Dobrucia, which is that little strip of land that gives Romania access to the Black Sea that was claimed formerly by Bulgaria, and there was a Bulgarian population there.
Yeah, and of course, not to forget everyone's favourite Roma population. The thieving little tea leaves.
Just looking at some of the faces here, I think we can detect some Roma, can't we?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, everyone, just check your wallets a sec. Did that guy's hands move anywhere? This guy, he's definitely Roma. Yeah,
he is.
Yeah, watch the hands, everyone. Chat, watch the hands.
Victorios! Am învins! Am învins!
Dar cum a ajuns Roma la Colorado?
Nu știu, domnule.
Era clar din mulțime.
Gândul meu se îndreaptă spre acei care sunt acum în închisori, disimulați sub infracțiuni de drept comun. Să te dea amnistie tuturor celor care se află în închisori, să te revizuiască situațiile judiciare ale celor de curând arestați. În același timp vreau să adresez un apel poporului nostru. În momentul acesta, ochii lumii sunt îndreptați asupra noastră. Trebuie să arătăm că suntem responsabili, că suntem...
They managed to get Castro in to do a cameo. Interesting.
It's like come that Ceausescu got on the phone. It's like, come save me, please.
Yeah. It's like those Star Wars it's like there's Star Wars crossovers where they have like, you know, characters from, you know, one series and then the characters from the films meet up, and you're thinking, I don't know, this feels like, you know what, for me watching this feels like you know, this is just like pure fanfic, you know, this is just like appealing to fan cameos and stuff. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, exactly.
Un popor care își cunoaște ordinea, cunoaște ierarhia și legalitatea. Verificarea și condamnarea tuturor celor care au activat în acești ani împotriva noastră.
She's like, shit, I've informed, like I'm like 90 and I'm responsible for the death of like hundreds of people in my village. I've just informed like all my life. What am I going to do now?
Deverește faptul că armata a tras în popor, înseamnă că va fi rău. Și pentru armată în ansamblu ei, și pentru fiecare comandant de securitate și militar în termen care a executat un asemenea ordine. După informațiile pe care le avem, au murit copii, au murit oameni bătrâni, au murit femei. În același fel, tovarășul general rusul.
She's really like thinking, fuck, I'm in big trouble now. I mean, I imagine if you were like in like a small town or something, you know, Securitate, and you're watching this and you're thinking like, God, I'm gonna have to like leave the country. You're like, oh, I don't know what you'd be thinking. I mean, at this point, you know, there were like people. I know that there were some like in the town I was mentioning, the Siberia, the sort of in the north of the country, or about 50 miles north of Bucharest. You know, one of the local Securitate commanders just shot himself in the office because he didn't want to, like, you know, be killed by the mob, be tortured and killed. He took the bullet, you know.
Opriți! Mă cer. Nu știu ce va fi mai departe. Îmi pare foarte rău. Sigur că cei îndrept vor cerceta împrejurările în care a murit prietenul meu, generalul Milea, ministrul apărării naționale.
Ne temem însă că scapă cumva de pedeapsa noastră Nicolae Ceaușescu, Elena Ceaușescu, Nicu Ceaușescu. Atenție! Clica, decrădători, Bălbu, Badea, Dimcă. Atenție cei care au slujit imediat, Cățelan, Rinădealescu, Descălescu, toate aceștia trebuie prinși, judecați și condamnați. La moarte dacă trebuie.
Bă, dar n-am văzut un militar, domnul, în față.
Păi cine mai înșelat au băgat în
Care au primit că a fost...
Consemnați în casă.
Care nu se demobilizează, mă. Trebuie să cheamă pe ăla de unde o fi, să vină dacă... A fost o grămadă... A fost o grămadă de oameni care mi-a fost frică de un idiot. Până n-au murit unii, n-am scăpat. Nu mai zic de dată să face curând.
Eu știu și pe mama asta.
Mama, nu vine să crezi, frate.
Ce nu vorbești? Hai să trăim mai noștri.
Atâta! Atâta!
I mean, one thing I will say, Bucharest in this just looks like something out of the Hunger Games or something. It looks awful, like real dystopian, just concrete hellhole.
Yeah, well, that's most of Eastern European cities, and some British ones, thanks to the brutalist architecture.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I will say that a lot of Bucharest apparently today, a lot of the communist sort of blocks that were built and buildings were demolished and rebuilt in some sort of form of classical style. So, I mean, here a W for the Romanian government, I guess.
Ce faceți? Băi, dă-te regulația acolo, dacă mai sunt. Și sunt, uite.
I agree, T. I think that's how it went down as well. You know, they used them as a bit of a scapegoat, but and sort of did a U-turn.
Avem nevoie de un comitet al democrației naționale. Ce va propune un asemenea comitet?
Yeah, so Stanculescu, who T's talking about, is the one that, you know, supposedly broke his leg and all that sort of stuff. It looks like he was the one that orchestrated a lot of the army actions on the day, that did like the whole U-turn and stuff. And he's the guy that sort of becomes the, you know, who even ordered the helicopter to land, that carried away Nikolai and Helena Ceausescu. And the pilots, when they landed, like fled. They just like jumped out. Well, as soon as they landed on this like road in the countryside, the pilots legged it, and apparently his security team, the Ceausescu security guards, like Grand Theft Auto'd, hijacked some random passers-by, and but they were later caught by I think in the army checkpoint or something like that. So.
Formați oameni de prestigiu ai acestei țări. În curând, vi se va da citirea acestui comitet. Important pe acest comitet este al democrației, că el va instaura democrația, ceea ce înseamnă că viitoarele organe de stat și administrative se vor alege într-o formă democratică.
Just got that theatre director is, you know, I'm directing the revolution and the people for democracy.
Yes,
it's so postmodern.
It is, and they're dragging onto the balcony here one of the ministers who onto the balcony, Duke Esco, who is like I think he's like he's like the minister in charge of the Securitate like the actual like interior security, like the Home Office basically, but he isn't like the director of the Securitate. There's like he isn't like the he's like the political head of it, if that makes sense.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, and he's making he's making the freely choice of resigning from government. You know, he's totally not he's totally not got a gun held to his head while doing this.
prim-ministru să anunțe acest lucru. Propun dimisia guvernului. Propun dimisia guvernului.
Because
the TV, they didn't pick it up the first time. Oh dear, the revolution was not televised.
Indeed.
Television was not yet ready to transmit. The Prime Minister had to repeat his resignation.
Oh, sorry, Prime Minister. Sorry, I should. Prime Minister. But he was like the political head of the security bit, so maybe the Home Office role was within the Prime Minister's office as well. That's why I was a bit confused, because he was like in charge of the security, state security stuff as well. Yes. I bet he was a bit. Sorry, go ahead, Bede.
Well, ultimately, if he's the only minister who's not fled, then yeah, he's representative, and that's why they've got to wheel him out to pronounce his resignation.
Wonder when Ceausescu's helicopter took off, like where was he? Was he like on the loo, or was he in his office having a kip or something? Woke up and it was like, oh no, they left me.
Yeah,
he looks
behind in the confusion.
Yeah, he looks a bit pissed off, to be honest. He doesn't look scared. He looks pissed off. Interesting.
But I've been left in the lurch, so fuck you.
Yeah, basically.
Pardon.
Nu, asta este o calitate mare, că ați realizat ceva stând, asta este ce?
De acum.
Stau aici.
Poate la mine cu dumneavoastră.
Stau aici. Ați venit singur.
I mean, I do respect that Prime Minister's. I mean, staying to face the music. I do respect that. That's
more balls than more balls than Ceausescu.
Yeah, basically, yeah, and it's even when it was at the crowd, he just said, "Yeah, I've always supported people." Like he's not. He no apology. I mean, that is kind of that's base. Yeah, sorry, T. I think you're confused there. Ceausescu's helicopter taking off was in Bucharest. It wasn't in Timișoara or anywhere. It was in Bucharest. All of that balcony that they were on was the same one that Ceausescu was on when we were ridiculing his silly little hat. That is the same place, and this happened within like a couple days, a day, 2 days. Pretty incredible how quickly it transpired.
Possibly, if Ceausescu had stayed, I think and faced them down, then maybe he could have been victorious, or at least prolonged it.
Yeah, I think so, because it's quite funny. It was right after he he basically legged it that the military started to actually come out of the barracks and actually be sort of coordinating with the opposition. Well, I say the opposition, the actual the revolutionary lot at this point. Also noted the police. Have you noticed the police are nowhere to be seen anywhere? And because, as I stated
that is
before,
interesting.
the police they shared the same office and were part of the same departments as the secret police. And I do know from the interview that I was watching about the BBC reporter at the time, there were police cars just left abandoned around Bucharest where like clothes like police clothing were left in the car. So I think a lot of officers, fearing that they'd be caught up in the mob, just basically like went home. Didn't want to be seen out.
You can't be asked.
Yeah. And to be fair, like you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, they could, lynchings could very much well happen at this point.
Men. In the jostling crowd, it tries to lay hold of Ion Iliescu, formerly a member of the Central Committee, who later fell into disfavor. For the last 10 years, he has been widely regarded among the populace as a counterfigure to Ceausescu.
There's
He is
your
on his
counter
way
elite.
to the balcony.
Mi-au fugit pe aia de la poartă. Da? Au venit un vecin la mine și mi-a spus, domnule, au fugit. Am ieșit, nu mai erau, că erau două mașini. Și am ieșit din acolo, Ana, cu anchetele. Am văzut că e fața lor. Băi, sper să ai ținea lor. Pardon.
Stimați telespectatori, suntem informați că armata română este prezentă în jurul televiziunii cu o unitate de blindate, reafirmându-și astfel încă o dată hotărârea exprimată astăzi de a fi alături de poporul din care face parte. Prin sprijinul și atitudinea noastră disciplinată să arătăm că iubim și prețuim soldații, subofițerii și ofițerii care își respectă jurământul față de țară. Și acum câteva ecouri de pe sărbătoare față de istoricul eveniment din România.
Toate ecourile sunt extrem de favorabile, se manifestă solidaritatea cu poporul nostru. În momentul de față suntem amenințați că putem lua legătura direct cu care nostru de reportaj care se află în piața Republicii.
The announced broadcast could not take place due to technical difficulties. The television switched back to the studio.
Fiți convinși că ostașii țării, ostașii care și-au făcut datoria, ostașii care fac parte din popor, își vor face în continuare datoria. Și acum vă rog să-mi permiteți să citim câteva ecouri de peste hotare, care arată ce mare, ce amplu este acest ecou, este ecoul evenimentelor istorice de astăzi din țara noastră.
Și să se termine cu planul de ucidere a satelor țării. Să respectăm țăranii.
Suddenly, the television switched over to the Central Committee.
Să reorganizăm învățământul și începând de astăzi să se dea la o parte marxism-leninismul, această dogmă.
Instead of Iliescu, now Dumitru Mazilo was at the microphone. Under Ceausescu, a United Nations diplomat, then a dissident.
Să se elimine minciuna și impostura, să se stabilească criterii de competență, de
I mean, I think, when you see how many former diplomats and figures within government who were sort of all behind this, who were sort of coming out to do their little speeches, I would suggest that it was probably not even really a revolution, just a coup. I mean, of course, so the difference is, as you state there, their intention is to just abolish the Marxist-Leninist doctrine of the state. That is I just to think, I don't know if communism. Let me just have a look. What if the communism, the Communist Party? I'm assuming it was banned. It was the party was banned in Romania after this.
I presume so.
We'll continue.
Responsabilitate și devotament pentru România.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
A little later, when the television once again attempted to broadcast Iliescu on the balcony, this glitch occurred.
Pause it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Yeah, the Communist Party of Romania was dissolved the same date, the 22nd of December, 1989.
Oh, so like literally this day, what the footage that we're watching now was the day that it was abolished.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty. Yeah, makes sense, I guess. I mean, like it's when you're having communists being held prisoner and everything, that the remaining few people loyal to the Ceausescu and the regime are just being held prisoner by revolutionary types. I guess that makes sense.
Certainly.
Also, by the way, those old enough remember like dodgy videotapes. This brings back some memories. Yeah, this bit's actually quite significant. The army now commands the troops of the Ministry of the Interior. So technically, they're now saying that the Securitate, the military wing of the Securitate, now comes under the control of the army. Which, of course, if you've seen the death of Stalin, you have the NKPD and all that. The army takes over. They're sort of done away with. Also, maybe with Germany, with Hitler, you see the same thing that was done to the SA. It was divided up between the army and the responsibilities divided up between the army as when they took power and the SS, which was more of a loyal vanguard to them than
Well, with Romania in World War II, it's interesting because in 1940 you have a coup that gets rid of King Carol's government. They put his son Michael on the throne, and then the power split between the army under Ion Antonescu and then the Iron Guard. And they kind of rule together, and then in 41 or 42, the army launches a counter coup and wipes the Iron Guard out.
Yes,
because the Iron Guard's ideological affiliations, they were hoping that the mid-century Germans would aid in them counter-coupping the army, but that didn't quite work out for them.
No, true. I guess it makes sense why the communist rhetoric and why they sort of bang on about fascists. I have to remind myself that they're not like Western liberals going, oh, fascism. Probably in their sort of world, there were people who were committed National Socialists and fascists who were their political opponents, with those sorts of views present.
De aceea vă rugăm, acum avem o singură forță de ordine publică. Armata și organele de ordine publică ale Ministerului Interne subordonate armatei.
Execute Order 66.
Yeah. The remaining Jedi will be hunted down and defeated.
No, the remaining communists will be hunted down and exterminated.
Yes. for peace and safer society. I mean, we joke, but I do think though, this particular bit was important because this was the army, getting their own back on the Securitate, and I think this is what triggers, because what we'll see now is Securitate will come in, swoop in, and this is where you see the chaotic street fighting, because they do try and like wrestle back control. Of course, though, it doesn't work out well.
N-am intrat la 2 minute după ce a plecat elicopterul.
Așa și spune,
Ce să plece? Am plecat de pe platforma de nu-și dreapta. Deci cum te uiți? La SMCC, o platformă.
E o platformă, sus.
Era un elicopter.
1. Abandonarea rolului conducător al unui singur partid și statornicirea unui sistem democratic.
Oh, there we go. That answered our early question there. There you go. That was the moment it was abolished, the one-party system.
Shame.
No, don't do liberal democracy. You don't know what you're doing.
No, the one-party system shall be expanded and recalibrated under a new system.
Yeah. Yeah, you can have different flavors of the same. It's not just going to be one,
Am înțeles, mai departe. 2. Organizarea de alegeri libere în cel mai scurt timp posibil. Cel târziu mai anul viitor. Martie este data tiranului. Nu se poate. Nu,
aprilie ziua de Paști. Ziua de Paști.
Nu, ca să nu supărăm pe nimeni, în cel mai scurt timp posibil.
Okay, this is incredible weakness. Now you're having like people dictate the terms of elections to you when you're making announcements of when it's going to be set, and it's all like begin bargaining. This was a bit ridiculous. It was a bit of a ridiculous spectacle by this guy.
It's like, because democracy is a void. When there's a coup like this, you have to fill that power vacuum and provide order and stability. Like doing this is just like you just create a void, a vacuum, and it's chaos.
Yeah, I mean, you got some there shouting they wanted like democracies in the following month in the new year. Like, well, that's not going to happen. You're going to have you at this point, maybe there's sort of like not a bit of denial, but you still have parts of the country where, and you still have large parts of Securitate and loyalists still about. The battle isn't over. I mean, yeah, the military's on side, but again, it could all change. And also, if I was there, maybe this would be the cynic within me, but I'll be saying, hold on a sec. What suddenly all the guys in the Ceausescu regime are now ardent, revolutionaries that wanted to abolish the Marxist-Leninist state? No, we need to clear them all out. So there needs to be a real clear out.
Bun, mai departe. Acestea 3.
Alo, ieșiți afară dacă vreți să vorbiți. Noi trebuie să ne concentrăm aici, nu se poate așa.
Ale frontului, deci structuri ale puterii în teritoriu, ale frontului salvării naționale care preia întreaga administrație locală. Și apoi ca măsuri imediate, la nivel central și la nivel local, necesitatea funcționării instituțiilor vitale, aprovizionarea cu energie.
So I think this is what they were calling themselves the National Salvation Front, which was the name of the revolutionary types. That was what they were referring to themselves as.
Cu căldură, cu apă, funcționarea rețelei comerciale, alimentare, a transportului public și a tuturor unităților economice care se intre în activitate normală.
3. Separarea puterilor legislativă, executivă și judecătorească în stat. Ce-a vrut Montesquieu?
Haideți să...
Domnule Iliescu, salvare nu-i bine, e ține de lovitură de stat. Democrație.
Oh no, not bloody Montesquieu. No, we got separation of powers.
Oh, cringe. Oh no. Where's the military guy? Bring him back in here. Just like just take them all out now. Counter-revolution, please. We need the counter-revolution of the military taking over. Oh dear.
This is all like froth, like, and it's just a lie because you're just obscuring how power and government actually works.
And he's not happy. One of them just said, "Well, I don't like the sound of like salvation. That sounds too communist. We need to drop it in real time." It's like, Kevin, we agreed the name earlier. If you had any problems, you should have raised it then.
Nu e bine, nu e bine.
People's United Front.
Explicit, democrația a fost
Frontul Salvării Naționale funcționează de 6 luni de zile.
nu se mai poate frontul democrației, că a fost.
Adică
O să reconstituie structurile. Acum n-avem timp să discutăm.
Oh, this is ridiculous. Them arguing over the name.
It's like there's more important things to be doing, lads.
Yeah. Where's that army guy from the TV station? Bring him back in. He'll shout them and get them back into shape. Oh dear.
Ăsta e organ de partid și de stat. Consiliul Frontului Salvării Naționale este organ de partid.
Nu de partid și de stat, în niciun caz. Asta sună ca dracu. Este un la noi putere. Nu merge.
A fost un front de salvare națională care a lăsat un apel de semnal.
Pentru primul stadiu cei de la Timișoara i-au zis democrația socială.
If that was your name 6 months ago when it was just like a little protest bit, for the sake of consistency, I agree with the army guys here and maybe this guy here. The just consistency, just keep it the same name. It's a silly point to argue over.
I mean, it's a pretty decent name anyway, so
yeah, it doesn't sound too bad. I mean, whoever said like the People's Party Front or everything, shut up, you commie, counter-revolutionary, execute him. Ugh. Socialist Democratic Front.
No.
Yeah, I'd be like, excuse me, have you taken a fucking nap while all these people on the street? The socialism bit's out the window, you fucking boomer. Well, actually, they're not boomers. They're probably like what,
Oh, that's like maybe Silent Gen, but yeah.
Silent Gen, yeah, like
the equivalent
Silent
of a boomer.
Gen. Yeah. Sorry, were you taking a nap, old man?
Oh god, what's that expression? It's at a time of crisis and revolution, you cannot trust anybody over the age of 40. They simply won't get it.
Yeah.
E foarte important un lucru. Să proclamăm încă din astă seară că țara se numește România. Nu Republica Socialistă. România.
Well, thank fuck they managed to, agree on that. Jesus Christ, it's been like 2 hours. They managed to agree on that. Well done. I do wonder if there was like, sorry for pausing all this, but I do wonder if there was like a moment in the Jacobin Club where this sort of bullshit was being pulled.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah. It's sort of like over silly terminology.
Fabricii de confecții să confecționeze în cel puțin zile noul steag al țării, care să aibă
priorities. We must have the new flags ready.
Noi acum vrem să constituim un Consiliu al Frontului Salvării Naționale, o să dăm un comunicat către țară, o să apelăm ca să se creeze noile structuri ale puterii, inclusiv pe plan local, consilii județene, municipale, orășenești, care să asigure buna funcționare a administrației locale, cu tot ceea ce înseamnă. Așa că voi luați măsuri ca să funcționeze totul normal.
There is one problem though. Let me do my Adam Curtis impression. Like, one thing they forgot to foresee was that on the local level, the communist members still control the system. It was a fantasy to think that they could change power by one phone call.
Very good.
Yeah, the Rand Institute also, at the same time in Colorado, the Rand Institute were developing a new communication for this. So I'm making this up now, but
but on the other side of the world,
yes, George Soros was developing some gay propaganda to
so he attempted to dial through to the army to get them to coordinate the revolution, but it failed.
I mean, this was the problem, though. He's sort of jumping the shark a bit here because at this point, they got control of the capital and the army and the army barracks around the country. But you still have, as I say, the Securitate, which are still out there doing their own thing, which we'll see in a bit. But also, you have the problem is every bit of local government is controlled by the Communist Party, and people within the Communist Party, even to the more smaller local levels of our equivalent of parish councils, and you're going to have to send in. Okay, if those people are still in charge, and some of them were killed, some of them fled because they were, pretty ardent communists. It was quite chaotic in the countryside in some villages and some places because they didn't, there wasn't actually that leadership. So you needed the army to go in there. He sort of, I think he's been this chap here. He's been a bit delusional.
Just one thing. How much longer are we planning to go? Because we've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Well, because we're at a halfway point, I guess we might do a part. Would you be all right doing a part 2? Because I think
that's I'm fine with that.
I'll let him just finish his little bit, and then I'll pause it.
Sure.
Dăm comunicatul ăsta. Poate chiar mai repede.
Luați legătura cu Petre.
Bine. Da.
Cu Petre. 236.
I'll pause it there. So he's getting the
place.
TV director to make the announcement. Yeah, I agree with Mitch there.
Yes, very Latin.
I mean, it's giving me a headache the conversations there. The Anglo mind cannot sustain that level of bickering.
Like a bunch of women.
Yeah, truly Luna. I long for the harsh coldness of the East German sort of absolutism. I long for it. I might watch some East German documentaries now just to get over that.
Like cleanse your palate.
Yeah, let's get some East German sort of stuff up here. Erich Honecker giving a speech. I think that was sort of give me back in the mood. Yeah, I mean, so far, I mean, we're halfway. We'll we'll do a part 2 on this. So far, Bede, is there? I was going to say, have you learned anything, or has anything appeared on this which you didn't know, or has changed your view on this?
Not really. No. It's only reinforced my views about nature of power and regime change. That the people have a role. I mean, because this has been something that's been discussed recently. How much effect can a people have on a revolution? And if you believe hardcore elite theory, the people can never have any effect. But I don't agree. I think they are a factor, certainly. I mean, on their own, they're not sovereign, but they can be utilized as a weapon by insurgent revolutionary forces. And this revolution proves that.
I know 100%. I mean, in this scenario, the masses are directed to areas and places to do the bidding of the generals, basically the army, the generals, and the National Salvation Front, which is made up of rogue elites. They're the ones that are directing people. And get if you've noticed, the National Salvation Front and the army, they're not dealing with the unwashed women and masses, giving them stupid ideas in over the phone or anything like that. They're actually in separate back rooms making decisions of the constitution of the country, which was all recorded, which is kind of not good to see that it was recorded and put in here. They're actually doing it. That is your elite, that is your revolutionary figures, and if these people didn't exist, I mean, let's be honest, the army would just shoot them, and it would be over. If the army wasn't on side, if the rogue people in government weren't on side, none of this would happen. So there's that to it.
All I have to say is that in this part, there's been a lack of the excruciating torture that you mentioned. So I'm assuming that's for next time.
Yeah. So what will happen? I mean, I'll give a very quick spoiler. I do, because unfortunately we'll have to wait for the next part. But what you'll see is like this is like A New Hope. The next part is the Secret Service, the Securitate Strikes Back, basically. And the committee building that you see and the television building, which is like on the same street, like one end of each, of the city center, comes under attack by Securitate forces. There are rumors going around around the whole of Romania in different towns and cities that this is where you have like the idea of Russian paratroopers and special forces coming in to help rescue Ceausescu. And there were attempts to rescue him at the barracks that he was kept. The television studio in particular was under siege. They were surrounded. There was an attempt to capture. Securitate captured, I think, Bucharest National Airport, like the airport there. You had Securitate people who were captured, one of which was brought on national television, really bloody and bruising, and was like beaten on national television. So there is a point where the revolution, I mean, it does appear a bit shit-libby, but it does get, it gets real. It basically, in the next part, it does get quite real. And I think because of the violence that you get, and I wouldn't say a reign of terror, but you do have indiscriminate violence against, like you have like random men and women who are then they're accused by the mob of being Securitate agents or whatever, and then they get picked up. And I do think there were occasions where innocent people were just blamed with no evidence. The army do come in and try and because they realize the revolution, it does tend to spiral a bit. I think one of the decisions to execute the Ceausescus in the way that they did in a very quick manner was to they were this beacon of the hardline loyalists, and if you take that out, then it's over then.
No, exactly.
So I think that's why I think they were executed on Christmas Day.
Oh, how festive!
Yeah, festive is. So you're having your turkey. Well, in this case, it's probably like a rat or something, and you're having your fried rat, and you put the TV on. Or Ceausescu executed. I apparently, though, I don't think it was actually the only like a few seconds after their execution was actually recorded. The actual footage I don't think was ever recorded. The actual execution. There was a recreation, but you do see the aftermath, and you do see it in this documentary. So be warned.
Very grim. Damn.
Yeah, pretty bloody end to it all. Anyway, Bede and people in chat, Iron Duke, Mitch, T, and we had somebody else, Baldwin II, the King of Jerusalem. Thank you for checking in, and yeah, Bede, I'll organise with you a second one. I need to do a mental note actually, which I can refer back to this one. 53 minutes. Okay, cool. 53 minutes was we got to Mark. So yeah. In the meantime, although thank you for dropping in, and thank you, Bede, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. See you around, everyone.